How to eat an elephant. The story which I would like to share with you date back to the days when I lived in Mumbai. Those were the relatively early years of my career. When I was working for a major industrial house as a chief personal manager of one of their businesses. Although my office was located in South Mumbai, one day I decided to visit the factory, which was situated about 65 kilometers away. I did the visit the factory fairly often, but rarely as instinctively as I did on that day. As the driver entered the factory gates and started to drive towards the administrative block, I sensed that something seemed strangely different. The usually busy gates were unduly quiet. We reached in the administrative block within a few minutes, and I saw to my shock a crowd of 400 people shouting and hurling abuses. Those were the times when cell phone didn't exist, and I hadn't been informed about the trouble brewing there. So it was literally left to my gut feelings to figure things out and take charge of the situation without any prior information as to what the commotion was all about. Call it presence of mind or institution. I decided not to approach anyone in crowd without getting some background information first. I walked to the administration block where the management people informed me that the worker had called a flash strike and were refusing to get back to work unless all their demands were met. Right about then, I heard a shrill shout from outside. We want to talk to the management. Come out. Obviously, the workers were agitated and upset that I hadn't first listened to their side of the story. I sent an envoy urging them to go back to work immediately before doing anything else. But no amount of convincing helped. Though I didn't feel the need to call the police to intervene, I still want to ensure that they were informed in case the situation turned ugly. So I hurried to make a quick phone call, but as luck would have it, the phone lines were down that day. That didn't deter us from taking the precautionary measures needed. I worked out an alternative and sent one person through the back gates to inform the police. Meanwhile, I quietly brainstormed with my team on all available options to address the issues at hand. We knew we didn't have a lot of time since the workers were getting restive. So we decided that someone from the management team had to be sent to talk to the employees. I took on that responsibility and one of my team members joined me. My earlier encounter at addressing angry crowds had taught me that first task at hand would be to make the crowd disperse. Now that would be challenging. I still recall my moment of truth as I walked toward the agitated worker. They were shouting abusive slogans as I moved closer to them. I immediately realized that I had to ensure that they saw my moves as a sign of recognition of the issues and my willingness to resolve it. I faced the crowd and fairly looked into the eyes of the men standing in front of Ra and signaled that I want to talk and communicate. Fully leveraging my kinesthetic quotient, Then came a crucial moment when I initiated a dialogue asking them to voice their problem. I figure out that the very gesture of willingness to listen to their problem appealed to the reasonable members of the crowd. The workers shouted that they wanted their charter of demands to be settled immediately, and they voiced a long list about 50 demands. They mentioned that despite the follow up on these issues, the management hadn't cared to respond, which is what had led to such impasse. Confident that I could bring the situation under control, I declared, you have to give the management the chance to work on your demands. I wanted to have a productive conversation with you, and I am ready to resolve the issues and help you. However, I don't think it's a practical to talk to so many people at one time. You have to pick 4 or 5 employees to represent you. I am neither going to dictate who those employees should be nor question your choice of representatives. But certainly cannot have a meaningful conversation with so many people. If you want a solution, decide on your spokespeople and let us know who they are. I will be waiting for them in the administration block. And with that, I turned back and headed towards the office. We were eagerly waiting for their messages while they were trying to figure out who those representatives should be. One faction amongst them was adamant to have everyone join the negotiations. After a few hours, I sent them another message inviting them for a dialogue, but reiterating that would not talk to the entire crowd. After the uneasy wait, finally some leadership emerged from the masses. About 15 employees showed up at the admin office. Another indication that I would be able to turn the situation around completely. After getting them, I restarted my stand that we would speak with not more than 6 representatives. I knew I had to provide some face saving device to them and yet stay firm on our position. I therefore worked out compromise that these 15 people could nominate about 6 members, while the other would remain seated in adjustment room and be available for any consultation that may arrive. The scheme worked. We had a meaningful discussion and could resolve all the concern to arrive at mutually agreeable solution related to the principle and time frames that would be followed in settlement their demands. It was protracted meeting that lasting for a long time. Once on the same page, I suggest that we leave the administrative building as a single group, and they agreed. The sight of management and employees representative walking out together symbolized that the agreement had been reached. The crowd realized that we had come to win-win situation, and literally the next moment they all commenced work. We kept our word and we eventually signed a formal settlement of their charter of demands. I learned some valuable lessons that day. First and foremost, break down every problem into manageable pieces. Do not try to solve a big problem as a single piece. If you want to eat an elephant, you will have to make a smaller pieces that you can chew. Only one at a time. Secondly, seemingly difficult complications in a human relation can be resolved through the effective communication. and invariably constructive confrontation is a power backed formula that lead to a long lasting result. And finally, people can figure out if you are sincere in your effort and will deliver on your commitment, a must for a forging any trust based relationship.